Awesome sight. Awesome sound when they fire into life.
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Voice of race director Tim Schenken. They come to life, 650 horsepower, all different makes in the field. Holden, Ford, Volvo, Mercedes, and Nissan, of course. Nissan have been working enormously hard with their development program that they've targeted for the Enduros. It'll be a race against time there, but they're hoping for a little something extra come the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. Mostert, the qualifying superstar, converted superbly before. As we take a look at the Fuso starting grid, for the second time today, the young star, the Bathurst winner, will kick off from pole position alongside the reigning champ this time in Jamie Whincup. Coulthard and Van Gisbergen, an all-Kiwi row 2. Reynolds and McLaughlin on row 3. Good job, Lee Holdsworth. Had some issues with an oil line problem to contend with in free practice 3. Andre Heimgartner, he was able to race with them here. He got boxed around the edges at Queensland Raceway after a strong qualifying run, but he wants to deliver in the races. Michael Caruso, Neil covered off before some of the gear issues, the gear change issues he's been suffering from this weekend. Nick Percat has been to see the stewards already this weekend, along with Dale Wood, and that will be looked at, or that hearing will continue after this race today. There's Woody out of position 24, and Tim Blanchard out of 25. Carl Reindler will join him for the Enduros. The final piece of the co-driver puzzle was sorted in the past week. And good news as well for Macaulay Jones. He was the other recent announcement. The youngster will pair up with Dale Wood in the 21 for Sandown, Bathurst and the Gold Coast. They're the stats to consider. It's just 16 laps around here. But they're on the softer tyres this time. They need to be careful in that part of the track. Through turn 5.
Rusty, one of the interesting things, just adding to that comment that I made on the start line area down there a few moments ago about the sun in their eyes, it's a little bit hard to pick them out there at the moment, but there's a cluster of very senior engineers, team owners, team principals who are going to help drivers get off the line. On the right-hand side of screen in the Pepsi colours is Tim Edwards. In the centre of screen with his arms folded near the big screen there is Grant McPherson. To the left on our screen there is Wally Story. So these guys are all going to play their drivers in. I can see Alex Somerset also up on the wall. So there's a whole range of people who've come out of their bunker up to watch their drivers, to guide them into position, and importantly, to be able to help them get away. Blake Smith, I can see also from the Holden Racing team, he's having a conversation with somebody from Dick Johnson Racing Team Penske. So they're going to give them a verbal cue in order to get off the line as well.
Well, as we've seen many times this year with the SuperSprint format, a very mixed up grid from what we saw in race 21 with the hard tyre, the soft tyre on the cars. We saw quite a lot of degradation in the hard tyre race earlier this afternoon, and we're expecting to see a bigger dig, a loss in time from the start to the finish of this race on the Dunlop soft tyre. So Chaz Mostert, well, we've been very used to seeing him where he is. Jamie Whincup this time lines up alongside the guy I'm keeping my eye on, Shane Van Gisbergen. He's not very happy at the moment. His tone and his voice in the interviews has led us to sort of think that he's unhappy with the way the car is, but I expect him to push very, very hard in this and use that soft tyre up. So watch the car on grid 4.
Phil Keed was on the wall there as well. Rod Nash was on the wall. George Commons, Jack Daniels Racing, Rick Kelly's engineer.
Everybody's all warmed up.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by Shane's answer. Second row of the grid, car wasn't too bad, but he's clearly not at all happy about the fact that it's got no consistency.
As the name suggests, it is a super sprint, and this will be a beauty. The soft tyre races recently have delivered in terms of action. Whincup versus Mostert off the line. The Red Bull racer looked like he got a good jump. Struggling in the background here was Scott Pye. And all over the back of him, one of the Nissans. Whincup leads into turn 1. Coulthard has taken second place away from Mostert. Commodores 1 and 2 on the run down to turn 2. Look at David Reynolds trying to defend. The Volvo's there. Lee Holdsworth's had a reasonable start too. Pye out wide in the 17.
Great job, Fabian Coulthard. Excellent start. Fired down the inside. Opportunistic move. Michael Caruso was threading the needle as well. It was full motocross spec. He was on the dirt on the left-hand side. Turn 4, cold tyres, Percat. Direction change. Look at the trouble ahead. And Nissan didn't catch the other participant, and it's Scott Pye. So they were 2 and 3 wide as they made the direction change between 4 and 5. Coulthard looks racy here, so an excellent start by Whincup. Fabian's going on with it. Mostert tucked in behind him, then Van Gisbergen qualified 4th and remains 4th. Somebody else is off the road here, and that's Rick Kelly on the exit of 8, and now Jason Bright fires off as well. No doubt giving a helping hand along the way. He's wrestled that thing to a stop and managed not to put a scratch on it. That is a man of the match catch.
Unbelievable piece of driving from Jason Bright. It was almost rally crossing through there. Whincup leads the way by 0.4 from Coulthard. Ripper start by the Kiwi, and he's ahead of Mostert. I'd love to see that incident once again as the 7 of Todd Kelly comes to the lane. That contact around the back at this point of the, or at turn 4, I should say. Someone was up on 2 wheels in that contact with Scott Pye.
I suspect that Todd was the other party to what I did see.
Go straight into the garage.
Did see a Nissan involved in that. The first lap was pretty wild. That, whatever happened to Jason Bright, how he ended up coming out of the pack at that angle was amazing. Coulthard stalking Whincup. Mostert in behind, then Van Gisbergen. He's hanging in there so far. David Reynolds, Scotty McLaughlin, Lee Holdsworth, Mark Winterbottom. Qualified 8th, and he is still also in 8th position. That's a well-behaved car that Coulthard's driving there. He just was able to fluently turn it in. He kissed the apex, he picked the throttle up. Didn't have to chase that car at all. So check out the start again, and from the outside front row, Jamie Whincup just got on with it beautifully. And Mostert tried to cover Coulthard, but there was nothing he could do about the fact that Fabian got a better jump and had kilometres an hour by the time he drew alongside. And he just dived straight down the inside. Very dirty down there, and it makes the line so tight. He did a very good job of managing that, Fabian. Now, this was the trouble down at turn 5. This, we'll see the aftermath of this. So it's Michael Caruso, is it, or James Moffat? I didn't actually see which of the Nissans.
I think it's the 99.
And I'm looking for Jason Bright further back here. Well, there was one incident that involved Rick Kelly. Oh, okay. So is that Garth Tander in car number 2? He and Jason Bright have locked horns on occasion previously. So first of all, there was Rick involved in that, running wide on the exit of turn 8, and then Garth and Jason Bright. How Bright managed to hang on to that is a little bit of a miracle in itself.
Todd Kelly, some of this crap luck is continuing a little bit. You've got a bent steering arm, is that right?
Yeah, it felt like something was bent quite bad after a hit. I had quite a good start and made up quite a lot of track position, and then got jammed between 2 cars in the last sector. There was a bit going on, so it looks like they've fixed it, so we'll get back out there.
Get back out there.
Thanks, Murph. Back here to Whincup and Coulthard, 3.36. Back to 0.31 now, so, and Mostert has had the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:31.02.
I was going to make the observation that, and you touched on it before, Greg, that Tander qualified in 16th position. He's currently in 11th. So he's made a little bit of ground, and there's someone else has brought some dust up down there at turn 1. I could see from the onboard here of Chaz Mostert. Gee, Fabian stayed out on the dirt on the exit of turn 3 for a long time there. His car just generally looks a little more stable than Jamie's at the moment. Second grab of the brake pedal for Fabian, but see how his car's not sliding, and you're seeing glimpses of the Red Bull car ahead just wagging its tail a bit. So already the Freightliner car now is to within a car length. Jamie's having to push it very hard to maintain this lap speed. Van Gisbergen still in 4th position. Then it's Reynolds, then McLaughlin, Holdsworth, Winterbottom, Davis and Lowndes. In the meantime, Todd Kelly is back out on the racetrack. Greg Murphy spoke to him. They had a good look at the front uprights on that car. I can hear the discussion on the radio. It was only a bent steering arm. That's been sorted.
Remember, we set up for the long game, so every lap behind is going to hurt him even more. Keep it up.
So it sounded like someone out there might have a fractured exhaust header as well. One of those cars didn't sound so sweet when it went past. 1 minute 31.8, fastest lap of the race, Whincup. Correction. New fastest lap of the race now, Scott Pye, 1 minute 31.0064.
He's down in 24th place at the moment after that opening lap skirmish and being turned around there at 5. You're watching the 47 here. Tim Slade in 14th place. Ash Walsh behind him. Then Michael Caruso. Back to the front here.
So he just made up a spot, Slade, in that manoeuvre. This is building. The pressure here is starting to become... one of those cars is off song, and it's one of the lead group, I reckon. We'll just have a bit of a listen here. It's not that car. Fabian's car sounds all right. One of those... Is it Jamie? I reckon it is. When it went past the commentary box last time, it didn't sound right. Yeah, there's something wrong. Car 21 exceeding track limits, turn 5. Warning, bad sportsmanship flag.
Excellent driving, mate. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely car 1. So it'll have a fracture in the exhaust system somewhere, and Murph might be able to add.
Yeah, I'll just quickly interrupt again, Roland Dane. Boys are just sort of talking about up in the box there about a potential exhaust note on Jamie's car. Has he reported anything?
No, he hasn't. We've seen a little bit on the Lambda, but it's not slow in a straight line. So
everything all okay. How's he talking about the car at the moment? He's just pacing himself?
I'm not sure, to be honest. He's probably being careful about the tyres, but I'm not sure what he's got left in the tank. So we'll see.
Okay.
So that, just to explain the Lambda, what Roland's talking about there are sensors in the engine and in the exhaust system that measure air-fuel ratio. So can't hear it in the background there, but I'll pull up at the right moment, hopefully, and you'll pick it up in the background. But so they're seeing some evidence of things not being quite right. Now, the issue is when you've got something like this going on, whether there's a secondary effect. It sounds like the tractor they use to smooth out the gravel traps here at the moment.
Faces of the boys was pretty telling there when we went to...
So we'll set this up on the main straight. We'll twiddle our thumbs for a minute, have a listen to this. I heard it better when it was up at the eastern end of the circuit there, but no doubt anyway that it's car 1. So the issue then is that you've got to be careful that depending on where the crack is and where it's blowing the hot exhaust gas, that you don't have an issue where you have a fire or a wiring loom issue or some of the... Yeah, you can hear it clearly there. So turn 3, we'll look out for it next time and I'll shut up. Oh, listen to it there. It's not flash, it's actually got worse.
Guys, yeah, it's definitely got a different note to it. Just before he buttons off high in the RPM and 6th gear at the end of the straight, it's definitely got a different note to it. Although it didn't seem like it was at this stage, losing anything to Fabian Coulthard at the top end. So he wasn't able to sort of get a run on it or pull up in the slipstream. So at this stage, still looks like it's got the horsepower and it's got pace, but it may obviously get a little bit worse, and we'll have to keep an eye on it.
Seem to be able to hear it out of 3, 4, 5 around the back of the circuit there, back of Corporate Hill. That's where we tend to notice it. But he's doing a good job. The team motivating him before, telling him play the long game, hoping with less than 10 to go, he can hold Coulthard out. Can he do it?
Fantastic, mate. Balance looks good. All good.
Last win for Jamie was back in Tasmania, race 6 of the championship. You can see how hard he's pushing this car at the moment. Last time through, I could hear it more cleanly in the background at turn 3. Back of the car sliding a bit more again there for Jamie. Let's listen. And Bright off, broken right front.
Something doesn't feel right there.
Is that at the end of the front straight, the start-finish straight?
Copy that, mate. Copy that. Just saw it happen there. Yeah, see if you can make it safely back to the pits here, mate. See how you go.
Now, does it actually have steering damage, or was that just the fact that he was locked up and he had steering lock on it? Let's go to Rihanna.
We were going to go to Brad Jones, but we might have to leave it and come back to him in a second.
Thanks, Rihanna. Yeah, BJ will be a busy boy down there at the moment. So remember, we saw Bright scooting through the paddock in the opening lap of the race. So he's actually creeping back gently, so it does have some issue at the front, and that will have come from the turn 8 contact. It involved Rick Kelly, Jason Bright and Garth Tander at the very start of the race. And here's Bright just disappearing off the end of the straight here. So it will put massive damage on those tyres, all locked up. Thankfully, he didn't go in there and clobber those tyres too hard.
Is the right front punctured? It is.
Yeah, well, he dragged. It was fully locked for forever down there. Been one or two pretty spooky incidents down there. Mark Scaife had a nasty one many years ago down there that hospitalised him. It was a bell ringer.
Back in the Gibson Motorsport days, wasn't it? Meantime, Whincup still holds out. Fabian Coulthard just. It was 0.39 the last time they crossed the line, but it says here that Coulthard gets close.
So he was locked up there from not far beyond the 100-metre board. There is that white board. And then he carried that all the way down to the old drag strip starting area. So he probably had the front brakes locked for the best part of a couple of 100 metres. So that tyre's seen better days. Yeah, so that's probably the reason it was punctured. But I think something else has been problematic before that. Something else has failed. And that will have been as a result of the contact on the first lap at the exit of turn 8 that had the 3 of those guys jumping in every direction. Rick Kelly, Garth Tander, Jason Bright.
Now this leading trio have been significantly able to gap Shane Van Gisbergen, who was unhappy on the grid in the interviews. So they've got margin on him. Let's bring Greg Murphy in here.
Guys, I'm just looking at Chaz Molson. I'm actually a little surprised. Crompo, you're probably the same. Now, I expected him to be a little bit more after that not such a great start. I thought he'd be putting a lot more pressure on those 2 leading guys than what he is at the moment. It just seems that he's struggling actually to keep up at this stage, or he's playing a long game. But if he is playing a long game, I would have thought he'd be putting more pressure on the back of Fabian Coulthard. Your thoughts?
Well, his last lap, Greg, was a 31-1. Correction, 33-1. I'll try and get that out in English for you. And he was about 0.4 of a second slower than Jamie Whincup. So I think he may have hurt the tyres even at this point in the race. So if it is the long game that you suggest, you can't let them get too far out of sight, Murph, or you just won't be able to get them back unless they come back to you in a hurry.
Well, I don't think he would have been choosing to let them be that far ahead if he could avoid it. And at this stage, or the action on here, I'll put you back on there, boys.
Yeah, thanks, mate. So Jack Perkins, he's having a bit of a rough up here at the moment as well. They were in deep conversation between races, just in search of speed with that car. So we're looking here at Percat, Perkins, Wall, Moffat and Dale Wood. And these fellas are all in a battle that starts for position 17. So Bright now in Team BOC entry. And I'll have a good look and see whether there's any other problem under here. Checking the top and bottom suspension arms. Chris Clark on the radio, so they've had a look at it. So it doesn't look like there was anything broken after all. McLaughlin looking. Shane's left tons of space down there for him.
And you talked about Jamie Whincup before, and his last win in the sport being at Symmons Plains in Tasmania many months ago now. For Fabian Coulthard, it was at the opening round of the series, the Clipsal 500. So both these guys are hungry for a win right now. BJR would love it, and it would mean a lot to the Red Bull Racing team as well.
This is shaping up as a great battle. Fabian still looks to be in very good shape, but he just hasn't been able to create track position. He dropped 3 spots in the championship at Queensland Raceway, Fabian. So he dropped and drifted to 6th in the series. So he needs a clawback result this weekend. He's on target to do it. He's just struggling in a couple of spots, and that's one of them. It just doesn't look as good in the really slow speed corner there at 8. See how he lost ground? But in the medium speed corners, he was all over the rear wing of Jamie at turn 5. Now that's interesting. Tim Schenken, race director in the background, saying car 1 exceeding track limits turn 5. On the onboard shot that we had a moment ago with Fabian, I saw Jamie well wide of the line. I wondered whether that had raised eyebrows.
Keep it narrow on. Keep it narrow on, no more.
So this is Roland reminding Duddo about how important it is to manage this. We know that face, and that's an insistence. Sort it out. Don't let him do it again. Because what Roland's saying there, I'm, obviously guessing. Here's the replay of 5. We'll just focus on this for a moment. So watch carefully the left side of Jamie's car. And so he was well wide there. So bad sportsmanship flags. Yeah, so pretty clear to understand what's going on there. So Roland's saying, manage this, discipline in this area, please, right now, because if he does it again now, he'll tour pit lane. And then so he'd actually be, if he's under that much pressure that he has to drive off the road to fend from Fabian, Roland's rationale here is a second's better than a trip through pit lane.
And you heard it at home, the calm voice of Mark Dutton, just keeping him in check, warning Jamie Whincup, we can't afford to do that once again.
Brad Jones, I know that you don't want to take your eyes off the screen at the moment, but Fabian Coulthard's putting huge amounts of pressure on Jamie Whincup, and he just got himself a bad sportsmanship flag.
Yeah, look, it's really hard when you're the second car. You're getting all that dirty air. It's burning up the front tyres. But Fabian's, quite narrow on the circuit compared to Jamie, so he's keeping a lot of pressure on him. So hopefully we're running out of laps, but there'll be a point where he burns up his tyres as well. But hopefully that'll be after he gets past Jamie.
Fingers crossed for you. Good luck, Brad.
Well, we'll see what happens. Thanks.
And the 2 leaders on that last lap were only separated by 1/10 of a second, but again, Chaz Mostert was 3/10 away, so he just hasn't got the firepower to match at the moment, Mostert, which is also proof that if you get the setup right and get things right, you can, at this point of the season, still be a threat to pro drive. A lot of people have been saying that they've been developing an unfair advantage, but it doesn't look like it out there at the moment. Good run here for McLaughlin in position 4, sorry.
No, I was just going to add to your point. He's been able to clear these guys, hasn't he? He's really put some ground on Shane van Gisbergen. And it looks like Reynolds is eager to get by the Kiwi as well. And if he can, he'll move into 5th place. This is, of course, where the championship leader is. Let's focus on that as well. Car 5 sits in position 8 right now. He's not been able to make much in the way of ground. His nearest... The guy he's battling the most in points terms, Lowndes, is in 10th.
Nick Percat, bad sportsmanship flag. Track limit exceedance at turn 5 for him as well. Will Davison on board, position 9 in car 9. That setting sun for turn 8's a real difficulty. This is an angry pack and it's tightening up as well. Shane's still 4th, but if he bobbles here, he'll quickly drop to the back of this pack, and that will put him behind Lowndes and 11th. So he knows there's a big pile of points here. He's going to try and do his best to make sure his elbows are high, but it's a freight train building up here. Look at this battle. James Moffat just displacing Jack Perkins. Last lap for the key runners. Whincup and Coulthard exactly the same lap time, bar the hundredths and thousandths. So the seconds and the tenths were the same. Actually, Mostert was a little bit closer that time. He was only a 10th slower than them. He's now 2.8 seconds from the lead of the race.
gets over the hill on the run down into turn 4. Jack Perkins said earlier in the day that he did not want to put a scratch on the 22. He just wanted to bring it home nice and clean. It's not a high result, but he looks set to do that in position 19 as he subs for James Courtney, who's no doubt watching in hospital. We wish him well and a speedy recovery, James Courtney. Back to this battle.
Work out what that was before. I think it was Peppa Pig's tracky dacks that found their way to the braking area at turn 4.
You have been watching too much kids telly. So he looks pretty speedy here in this battle, and that's Will Davison. He's putting pressure on Mark Winterbottom. He looks keen to get on with it. So does Craig Lowndes. Whincup still holds it by 0.8.
0.7 car behind.
Look at that, Rusty. That's pretty brutal. So now the exit of turn 11 is just as difficult. Some of the guys actually end up extending the windscreen strips. They put another couple of strips across there just to be able to deal with it. Another thing I spotted in Shane's car, which I think is a good idea, there's just a little digital watch on the right-hand side of his dashboard as well that's just taped up and perched in such a way that he can actually see the time of day. Have a go at this. He's got 6 V8 supercars all queued up behind him. They've all got their attack guns set, and they're on him at the moment. So this is going to be a real test of his patience and steel.
Riding with Tander. They're all chasing Van Gisbergen in 5th place. It's a real freight train. Look at this here.
It's about 8.5 tonne of anger behind him.
This here, Holdsworth trying to defend. Frosty's out wide here. This could be good for Davison and Lowndes.
Remember I said at the start with you when we're standing on the grid, Greg, that when you're the series leader and you find yourself out of phase in qualifying and in the battle pack, you've got to be super careful, because if this goes wrong and then you spit out the other side, it's very easy to draw a 0. This is Lowndes on the right.
1 more Jade up, 0.9 car behind.
It's a good recovery from Tander. Having a vigorous race here with Lowndes, enjoying this. So you heard in the background there on the radio that Whincup's hanging on. He knows the situation. In fact, he's extended the gap. He was 3/10 quicker on the last lap than Coulthard. He's got an ailing car, Whincup. He's got some sort of a fracture in an exhaust header. It hasn't altered performance, but you can hear how bad it is in the background. And it looks like they're going to get away with this one. So this is a great drive and a real pressure drive for Jamie Whincup to be able to withstand the blowtorch from Fabian Coulthard and the blowtorch beneath his feet. And Shane's doing a similar job. This is real senior discipline. Lots of mileage in the seat for both the guys that I've just mentioned, and they don't blink under pressure. Sounds shocking,
doesn't it? He's driven superbly though. Drive of a champion. He was awesome with some fans yesterday, despite all the pressure that they're under and trying to get this squad back into the winner's circle. It's been since Simmons Plains, round 2 of the sport earlier in the year for Jamie Whincup. He began the year, it wasn't great for him here at Super Test, but he began the year on the streets of Adelaide in the defence of the crown with a win there. Had some success at Simmons Plains, but it's been a long drought. It's a sweet victory. The champ is back in business. Jamie Whincup wins at Sydney Motorsport Park. Run to the finish line here, Van Gisbergen 5th. Look at David Reynolds. Can he snatch it from him? Can't quite. The Giz holds on for 5th. And Winterbottom will finish in 8th place. Craig Lowndes 10th. We're crunching some numbers here. Will that change 2nd in the points race? Will Mostert move to 2nd? We believe he will, ahead of Craig Lowndes. So that's significant. 9 points it'll be.
Really enjoyable race. Congratulations to the 3 on screen. Whincup, Coulthard, Mostert, 1, 2 and 3. Resisted the pressure, Jamie Whincup, to move himself onto career victory number 92.
No burnout, Stephen. No burnout.
And in total podium terms, 140 podiums for Jamie Whincup. He's in a great seesaw battle with Craig Lowndes, 142. There's Roland Dane.
Very nice, he said.
He'd be relieved with that one because there was the threat of the exhaust manifold issue, and then there was also the track limits problem. So Jamie, if he made the mistake again, would get dragged through pit lane. Yeah, so Craig Lowndes got 142 podiums to his credit, and Jamie's now moved on to 140. So not that he'll care particularly about the statistics, but it just underlines how much experience, how much success that this guy's had. And when you look at the numbers, just how long it's been between drinks, he's certainly been through a lull, but this applies a little bit of pressure now, which makes for an interesting Sunday. And on the eve of the Pertec Enduro Cup, the implications are that, as we've seen in years gone by, it's going to be a ripping battle between ProDrive and Red Bull.
Often the greatest tests of a champion are how you deal with things when the chips are down, and they have been working very hard in that outfit. They know what it takes. They know it's hard to beat these ProDrive Fords right now, and that is a sweet one for Jamie Whincup here. Very different race tomorrow. May have some heavy rain to contend with as well. Got off the line superbly, Whincup. So did Coulthard. Coulthard had a demon start relative to Mostert. And there's the crew. Ludo Lacroix in there. Pete Jamieson as well, I think. Looks after the commercial side of things for them. You can almost see that smile beaming through the helmet, can't you? How much it means to him.
The sparkle in the eyes. We haven't seen it for a little while.
Back in the winner's circle for 2015, Jamie Whincup.
And his teammate Craig Lowndes, position 10, and the two other key combatants in the championship, Chas Mostert third, and Mark Winterbottom in 8th. Frost to be disappointed with that one.
Nice congrats there to David Cauchi as well. And as we said, it's a championship changer in terms of second in the title race. Mostert has moved ahead of Craig Lowndes by 9 points as a result of that one.
Jamie Whincup, I know how much that victory is going to mean to you. You had to work for it. You had an ailing car. It's been a long time since you were on the winner's step of the podium, but congratulations.
Yeah, it has been a while, Rihanna, and yeah, she sounded like a bit of a tractor out there. If you were in the stands listening, it was shocking, but obviously not too much power loss. Fab's always quick on soft tyres, so it's a good battle, good to be on the top 7 of the podium.
Congratulations, enjoy the champagne.
Yeah, cheers.
Fabian Coulthard, you gave it absolutely everything in those dying stages. Didn't quite get there, but second on the podium, fantastic result.
Yeah, it's pretty good, you know, to come from where we've come from. We've had a tough round at QR, but to bounce back like we have, it's been a few long hours for the boys. You know, they've put in the hours, and, you know, that's the way we repay them. But, you know, thanks to my guys, they've done a fantastic job. They never give up, and we get to do it all again tomorrow.
Enjoy, well done. Chas Mostert, 2 pole positions, a race win and another podium. It's been a sensational day in the office for you, and even better news, you're now second in the championship.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Yeah, didn't quite get a good start then, but it's quite tricky here. This is probably the hardest track to start on. So the initial launch was okay, just got a bit of wheel spin late, so it's not the normal thing that's been happening to us, but fantastic job for everyone at Pepsi Max and everyone at ProDrive and Castrol and all those guys. It's been an amazing effort today. 2 poles, 2 podiums, can't be any happier.
Enjoy the champagne on the podium. We'll see you tomorrow.
Certainly will. Elephant.
Hey, Lead Holsworth, I know it wasn't a win, mate, but it probably almost feels like it. You're in the battle there, and it was pretty full on. Shane was holding you boys up a bit.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty difficult there. I think I got some oil or something on the screen early in the race, and then when the guys in front started dropping wheels, the screen picked up all the dust, and I could not see a thing going into the sun at turn 1. So I wanted to line Reynolds up for a pass into 2, but I couldn't see where I wanted to brake. I just had to follow him through. So, look, I'm really pleased to be back where I feel like I belong. You know, I'm really pleased that Preston High have come on board this weekend to help us out, and, you know, all our other sponsors were giving them some great coverage. So that's all really positive. We took a big step this weekend, I think. You know, from start of practice, we felt that there was a massive improvement in the car. fingers crossed we can go into the Enduros with a really strong package.
Well, it looked pretty comfortable there. You know, you looked like you were able to push on, and you weren't looking behind, you were looking forward.
Yeah, that's right. It was. I knew I had Winterbottom covered. He didn't seem to have much, but once I got on the back of Reynolds and Shane, I then had to start looking in my mirrors. But I knew if I could get the run off the corner, I had Winterbottom covered. But look, it just shows that qualifying is so important. If you can start up there, you seem to be able to dice it up there as well. But I just feel like, you know, I got a really good feel in this car now. It seemed to be quite dead in the steering to me before, and we've got some good feedback, so I know how to drive around problems now because you've got the feel. So, mate, onwards and upwards.
Good on you, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
Nice positive outlook there from Lee Holdsworth. Whincup wins, and that breaks a 15-race winning drought for the champ. It's his 92nd career win in the championship as well. Now just 8 behind Craig Lowndes' record of 100 in the sport. That's a valuable podium as well for Fabian Coulthard, who's lost a few spots in the championship race recently. Garth Tander is a mighty racer. He can struggle in qualifying, but fight his way back when the game unfolds. Podium's ready. Your MC is our Chad Naylon.
It's time for the race 22 podium here at the Sydney Motorsport Park SuperSprint. In first place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. In second place for Freightliner Racing, Fabian Coulthard. And in third for the Pepsi Max crew, Chaz Mostert. Presenting with the winning team, it's David Couchy, Red Bull Racing Australia. With the third place trophy, it's Cameron Price, the Chief Financial Officer for V8 Supercars. The trophy for second comes from Ian Bradshaw, the National Marketing Manager of Cooper's Brewery. With the winning team trophy, it's Phil Shaw, the General Manager of Events for V8 Supercars. And with our first place trophy, it's Glenn Matthews, the Chief Executive Officer of the Australian Racing Drivers Club. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the 2015 V8 Supercars Sydney Motorsport Park SuperSprint Race 22 podium.
It's a memorable one for Jamie Whincup. And the champagne spray started. There's the change in the championship order. It's 267 points, first to second, but Mostert moves to position 2 on the ladder, and crucially 60 points. That's all that covers Mostert, Lowndes and Reynolds. It's a great fight for second at the moment.
And actually a points lead extension for Mark Winterbottom. He came into the weekend with 256.
We take a look at highlights of race 22. With that sun setting and making life difficult for the drivers, couple had difficult starts, including Scott Pye and Chaz Mostert. Brilliant start by Fabian Coulthard, who went from the second row, fought his way on those cold tyres into second position behind Jamie Whincup. Great jump also from Whincup. And what about this over at turn 4? One of them getting up on 2 wheels. Around went Scott Pye and one of the Nissan Altimas as well. Meantime, rallycross from Jason Bright. This was an incredible save. Gassed it up at that point, got back on the brakes, somehow kept it off the wall.
He had completely on the steering lock stops there to try and rescue that. There he is going out of the right of frame, just disappearing. How it didn't wipe down the wall. Paul Scalzo, the engineer, be wondering the same thing. Jamie Whincup gets the job done today. A great comeback. They continued to work hard on that car. Interesting that we saw an image just a few moments ago. That was a super slow-mo of Jamie, and the front wing of the car was stable. And there was another shot of Mostert's car, I think it was, that was certainly unstable. Track limit exceedance at turn 5 for Whincup. Roland was straight on to Mark Dutton. Do not let that happen again. He knows the implications of a second transgression down there. Jason Bright. And I think they'll find that they'll be linked. The issue that sidelined him off the road down at turn 5, correction, down at turn 8 on the opening lap, ultimately had him off down at turn 1, and they were very lucky they didn't lose a car in that one. Able to continue. We thought that there was every likelihood of there being a positional change between Coulthard and Whincup, particularly with that broken header on Whincup's car, but then all of a sudden Fabian must have used a little bit too much of the rubber on that car, and Jamie was able to stay steady and came home with actually a nice little margin in the end.
Breakthrough for his first win in 15 races, his first since Symmons Plains in Tasmania. Sweet victory for Jamie Whincup.